is. I will not stop until they know me. I want you all to listen closely before I motherfucking proceed. Yeah, when you're grinding on the low key and they're complacent with their own needs.
Alrighty, we are back, baby. The Last Week in Wrestling podcast has been on a slight hiatus from the podcasting world. We're doing a lot of prediction episodes and stuff these past few weeks because we've had, 70 pay-per-views in 2 weeks? Yeah. It feels like, it's been crazy with the amount of podcasts, watch-alongs, prediction episodes, pay-per-views. It's been a whirlwind of content. So we decided to give everyone with Labor Day and everything a little bit of a break. Kind of now started getting back into the routine and groove of everything. So welcome back, everybody. It's nice to have some great, friendly, incredible faces back. Of course, Mr. Fightful, as well as his partner in crime, the podcast dad, and birthday boy himself, Chris Shoops, is here. My guys, how are you? Good to see you guys again. Happy birthday, Chris.
Thank you. Happy
birthday. Happy birthday.
I appreciate it. Last year of the 20s. Let's make it a good one.
Oh, sir. Yeah, me and him both, man. This is it. We're both 29, and next year we turn 30, and I think that's just when it all goes downhill, from what I've been told. So
it's a depressing one.
It's true. Yeah,
it's not that bad. I'm enjoying my 30s right now. What can I say?
Yeah.
I don't know. I told Dylan before we started, and I said, "You don't have kids, or you're not married." So
no, not married, no children. Thank God. Knock on wood on that one. God bless you, though. I'm happy that everyone's happy and healthy. I know we talked about them off air. I'm happy to hear everybody's well on your side. But of course, Eric, my guy, how are you? How you been? It's been a long time coming to have you guys.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. Just always. Yeah, it's been a while, but we always appreciate being on here and in such esteemed company. So I'm excited to see what we got tonight.
Yeah, no, we got a lot to talk about. I know we've been talking about a lot of these topics throughout the weeks and a whole bunch of other stuff. But of course, to round out the podcast gang, the squad themselves, of course, Mr. Starfield himself, Asa, and Kay Fabulous are here with us this evening from No Bones About Wrestling. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well.
I know.
Glad to be here.
We've been talking about Starfield, you and I, off air, and we're both at the same level right now, which is nice. It's nice both being level 6s over in Starfield. So definitely, if you guys are Xbox Game Pass owners or just Xbox owners in general, go get yourself the copy of Starfield. It's not paid promotion, it's not sponsored or anything, but hey, Xbox shout out.
Very good game.
Give me a sponsor with that one. But yeah, man, no, I'm excited. I just got my first diamond achievement today before stream, so very, very excited. But enough video game talk for now. All right, this is a wrestling podcast, people.
For now.
I know me and Asa. I gotta actually talk to Asa and me and him off stream because we're thinking about doing maybe a review for Starfield, me, you, and Horton, going forward in the next couple of weeks to talk about the game and stuff. So
yeah, that'd be great.
I think that maybe that'll be something fun and everything to do. But this is a wrestling podcast, people, so we got to talk about wrestling. I'm sorry, enough gaming talk for now, but we have a lot to talk about because this is the Last Week of Wrestling podcast, where each and every weekday we do watch-alongs, pay-per-views, game reviews coming as well, and a whole bunch more awesome things happening right here on the channel. If you are new or a friend of the show, make sure you hit that sub button, follow button. Make sure you turn post notifications on so that way you never miss an episode. And of course, we got a whole slew of content, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show about what is to come this week. I know Asa has a very big announcement that is happening this Saturday. We're going to be talking about as well. I'm very excited to be a guest on that show as well. But nonetheless, let us begin with WWE. It's been kind of a whirlwind that's happened since, of course, Payback and everything. We have had Gunther retaining the championship this past Monday, now being the longest reigning defending IC champion since the Honky Tonk Man. Jey Uso is now a part of Monday Night Raw. We have Cena. We have a whole slew of topics to talk about with WWE, of course, and AEW. We'll talk about AEW a little bit later, but let's start off with Jey. I mean, that's, I feel, the biggest, besides Gunther. Maybe Gunther tops, that achievement is pretty high up there in the wrestling world. But Jay, main event Jay, new theme, new look, new everything. I thought he quit the WWE, like he said 2-3 weeks ago. He said he's out. Deuces, ooses. He's done with the WWE, SmackDown, the Bloodline. But now he's back and he's on Raw. And we saw him Monday, and it seems like there's maybe some tension due to some of the past actions that him and the Bloodline have had that maybe he has to smooth out before he kind of gets comfortable in this new Monday Night Raw main event mode going forward. So we'll start with the Fightful Zone. Eric and Chris, what do you guys have to say? I mean, Jay's back. He's back. He's ready to go. He's ready for action. But what do you think is in the cards for Jay going forward?
Birthday boy, I'm going to let you kick this off.
There it is.
Thanks. I appreciate everything you do.
Love you.
Yeah. No, and I said it on our podcast yesterday that I think Jay is over here to separate him from the Bloodline as much as they can because they want to see what they have in Jey Uso. I personally think he's going to be the one to dethrone Gunther for the Intercontinental title.
Mm.
Yeah, he's the last one to have a visual pin on Roman. He then wins the IC title from this big, unbeatable character in Gunther, and now you see what you have in Jey Uso. Can he be what you expect him to be on his own? Every time we've seen main event Jey Uso, it's been part of a Bloodline storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Is this now your new star? Is this a launching point for him? Is this your next big Samoan Dynasty guy? Is this the guy that you think can carry a world title? Start him off with the IC title. It's already elevated enough to be in an important title, in my opinion, because I think Gunther has done a great job with that title. But now that feels like such an elevated title that if you give that title to him and let him see if he can keep that level high, and then, okay, he can keep that there, yes, he can be that next world champion contender. But I like the aspect of, kind of like you said, everybody kind of hates him in the back right now. And I think the trade compensation that was said is going to be either Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn to kind of further that dissension in the locker room. Mr. Cincinnati.
Thank you. Yeah, so I also agree with this move. I mean, it'd be very, very easy for WWE to hotshot Jimmy versus Jay, even though I know they want to build this to WrestleMania, and that's where this match should take place. But it's just too easy to keep them on the same show. I think moving Jay to essentially the A show is a great move. I think what a lot of people may not be looking at from this particular context is that when it comes to Jey Uso and the singles run that he's had, within the last few years, it has been when Jimmy has either legit been out with an injury or written off with an injury. That's when he's had those opportunities. We've never really seen a singles Jimmy Uso run, and if we are going to make this Uso versus Uso match feel like it's something, we know that we have something in main event Jey Uso. It's just a now sink or swim post Bloodline kind of run that he's in the middle of right now. Jimmy, it's the same way, but Jay has also already had that main event run, that singles experience already, killing it. Jimmy is still very, very unproven. So I think that to send Jay over to Raw to hang out with some of the top tier talent that's over there gives him something entirely new. Yes, he's going to have to run through that locker room, and it looks like his first stop is going to be Drew McIntyre. I have my own thoughts about McIntyre and how he's being used since this return, but I'll leave that for somebody else. But I think that when we look at splitting these guys up, Jay's going to kill it. I'm really not necessarily very worried about that. Jimmy, I don't know. I think I have to see it to believe it, just because I've never seen a Jimmy Uso. Yeah, I can't talk. Jimmy Uso singles run. So I'm not really sure what to expect. But I also really enjoyed the one-liner by Cole about Cody being a former EVP, because only he would have the sway to make something like this happen. That shows you the value of Cody Rhodes as well, and him potentially being an ally to Jey Uso. So Jay's going to get the Cody rub there. Jimmy, I would like to. I don't know where you start with him as far as an initial build. So I guess we have to wait until Friday night to see where this begins. But this is going to be great for everybody involved.
No Bones, what do you guys have to say about Jay now becoming Raw's own Jay main event Uso?
So I agree with Chris that I see him going after Gunther. I think that that's what makes the most sense for his character. Asa and I have talked about this, and he disagrees with me because he thinks that's not main event enough for main event Jey Uso. But I feel like you have to legitimize that main event status, and that Gunther has elevated the IC title enough that winning it would be a main event move. And I think it would just kind of like prove that he earned that moniker. It's not just something Roman gave to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, talking about Gunther, mixing him into all this, I mean, I get where you're going. Him beating Gunther would be big for sure. Anybody beating Gunther would be big. But I think it's just best to let the Intercontinental title be a mid-card title. Like, don't try to keep it elevated. Like, let it drop back down to being a mid-card title after Gunther loses it. But with Jay, I think it's best to look at him as a world title contender and look at him as a face contender to like whoever Seth drops the belt to, first challenger, Jey Uso. That's what I'm looking at. Have him as a world title contender over on Raw. And that's how you see what you got in Jay. Not with an Intercontinental title feud, but with a world title feud. I think he's ready for that.
What do you do with him in the meantime?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm jumping forward ahead a little bit. In the meantime, I'm not so sure. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm thinking Seth loses it soon to someone. Maybe Nakamura, and you have Nakamura versus Jay. That'd be fine with me.
Okay. Well, then let me pose this question then to everybody here. If it's not Gunther, like Ace is saying, and maybe it is someone like Shinsuke or the next to be World Heavyweight Champion, is that too soon then for Jay now just coming to Raw, not really having any single match development currently, to, of course, this next pay-per-view, which is going to be Fastlane? Is that something we kind of already expect since what he's done on SmackDown and in the business, that having him just jump into title contentionship is something that we're all kind of just waiting for and ready for? Or do we want to start seeing him now do a lot more of a singles run on Raw with the talent that's already there, and then maybe come Fastlane or even after Fastlane start getting into that title contentionship? We'll start with you, Asa.
Yeah, I think with the, just he's ready for it with what we've seen on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the business, so much now, especially when you're in WWE, the business so much now is personality. And we've gotten to see so much of his personality come out on SmackDown that I think his character is ready for whatever you want him to be ready for, as far as gravitas of it. If you want him to be in a world title feud, like I said, I think he's ready. You push him, he's ready for it.
Okay.
I feel like he's like 2 matches away from being ready for the world title shot. I don't think he's quite there yet. I mean, so much of his rise was with his brother, but at least I feel like I haven't seen enough of him as a solo artist, I'm going to call it, to see him immediately be a contender for the world title. Like, I think he needs that mid-card belt first, or he needs a few giant wins, because yes, he pinned Roman, but it was in a tag match. I mean, I also, in Ace's defense, I started watching WWE like just before WrestleMania, because I had stopped watching it because it was not my thing.
Fair enough.
But after watching AEW a bunch, he talked me into coming back to WWE. So I may have missed some solo Jey Uso along the way.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, go back and watch some 2020 Jey Uso. He was doing very well on his own and some good Roman stuff.
Like pandemic days, so?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
That's
Very
when
much
it
so,
really
yeah.
that's when it really came out, where they were kind of
Mhm.
pushing him, and he got that main event Jey Uso moniker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
For
he definitely
me-
earned it.
For me, they have 7 months until WrestleMania. If they want to do the Jey and Jimmy match at WrestleMania, do you really want to try to squeeze in a world title run between those 7 months? Like, is that beneficial for Jey Uso to have a 3-month title reign? I don't know. That's why I think maybe if he dethrones a Gunther, wins the IC champion, Jimmy can come cause the issue. And do they feud over the IC title? Because we know Jimmy's not ready for a world title feud. Is that kind of how you get around it? I just don't know if squeezing in a world title run in these 7 months is going to do much. I think Kay has a good point of let's maybe get him some bigger wins, like over a Drew McIntyre, over a Damian Priest. Who else is a heel over on that show? I can't remember. I would say Bronson Reed, but they haven't pushed him. There's a good win.
Yeah, Finn.
Finn, Bronson Reed, yeah.
Like
Shin,
get him some bigger wins, and then I think maybe after Mania is when you see him go for the world title.
Okay.
I think Jimmy could be. I mean, again, to what I was saying, wrestling's so much about character now, and Jimmy has been in this main event angle. I think Jimmy would be ready for and even performance wise, I think
Jay?
Jimmy would be ready for a world title feud.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
I think he would be ready for it. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
I have no doubt they'd put on a good match. I just don't know if, like, as a fan, are you going to buy Jimmy winning a world title right now?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think they've elevated enough, and if they keep Jimmy elevated enough and protect him just a little on whatever run they're about to do with his new Inspector Gadget theme song, I think he could be in a world title feud. Yeah, definitely. Because like I said, character is so much of it, and these characters have been right with Roman. I feel like the Usos are main event level right now, so it's very key what happens like right now for them. I feel like,
and I think what we're also forgetting is, it looks like we're going to have a War Games as Judgment Day heavy this time. So you have to think Jay is probably going to end up on some team with some combination of Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. That's one way to get him over. We don't know if he does not go after Gunther, then it can't be world title. Give him a Rumble story. Let us believe that he has a fighting chance at winning the Rumble, has an excellent showing. Jimmy costs him the Rumble. There's your build to WrestleMania. So you can at least kind of have him dance and tiptoe around that title scene without necessarily feeling like you have to thrust. I do want to see a match with him and Gunther. I think at least if I would book it, I would book. I mean, especially because we want to get him wins and we want to get him over. Have him do a gauntlet match or a 2-on-1 or something, against Kaiser and Vinci, get them involved too, make him have to go through them first, because we know that both of those guys can go. They will only make main event Jey Uso look like an even bigger star than he already feels like now. So, I mean, he was brought over by Cody. Give him a gritty story. Make him earn it, because he knows he's pissed off most of that locker room, so he's got to go earn their respect.
I mean, honestly, I like all the points that everyone's just made. I mean, I do feel as of right now that even with Jay being solo dolo, even let me say it correctly, I definitely could see Jay being solo dolo in Raw and having a very good success story with that, possibly leading into some type of title contentionship in the near future. But like to Kay's point, I think he is a few matches away, and maybe it is those matches between a Drew, a Riddle, and other people that have been rubbed the wrong way due to him being in the bloodline prior, that he has to jump those hurdles in order to be given that respect and almost led easier to a title opportunity down the road. We've seen Jay put on very good matches, definitely during the pandemic, to Chris's point. But right now, I think that if we did throw the title on him, prior to a pay-per-view, at a pay-per-view? What is that title reign going to really do for him going into a bigger pay-per-view, something that matters more, like a Survivor Series with Rumble right around the corner? Maybe giving him that opportunity of having a Rumble feud with his brother that then leads into a Mania moment that they've been wanting to do, maybe is a better journey for Jay. Whether he's a champion or not is hearsay at that point, but it's maybe a better look and a better starting point for him being on Raw. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. Like, there's definitely ways we could go about it. We could definitely put a title on him like we could with LA Knight or anyone else, Chad Gable even, and see what it does for them. But going into these other pay-per-views like Fastlane, like Superstar Spectacle, I know it's not a pay-per-view, but it's a, paper movie moment or whatever people are going to be calling it on a Friday night and everything. But nonetheless, Survivor Series is ending the year. That is going to be the make all, break all, stories continuing, stories ending, new ones kind of start beginning, etc. for Survivor Series, leading into 3-week vacation and then a Rumble that's going to drastically change a lot of the men and women in the locker room going into WrestleMania 40. So if that's something that they're planning ahead on, in the sense of, well, we want Jay to be, IC champion running Monday Night Raw after Gunther's been dethroned by someone like Gable or someone else, or maybe even Shinsuke, then okay. Or let's have him do the World Heavyweight and have him go against someone like Shinsuke going forward. There's a lot more to play with now going closer to the Rumble than maybe throwing it on him and putting him almost into the shark-infested waters that he's kind of hovering around as of right now, due to the fact that he's rubbed a lot of people in the locker room, wrong, being, of course, an ex-Bloodline member. But nonetheless, that is really, a couple thoughts and everything I had for Jay. If there's anybody that wants to add on that, feel free. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be a great Money in the Bank holder.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea either.
So I think that, he's got that gives him something, and then
main event money.
Having that baby face come out and cash in, and that first kind of line of the theme song, the ooh, so like that would get a huge pop.
Yeah. I like what Asa said. Inspector Gadget music. That's definitely what I felt when listening to his new theme song as well. For sure. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for that topic. And one of the many, of course, for the WWE. But of course, like we touched upon it before, Gunther. I mean, he did it. He really did it. As of this Saturday, he will be the longest reigning defending Intercontinental Champion of all time, passing the Honky Tonk Man. I can't believe those words are even coming out of my mouth, but it's true. It really is true. He is the man to beat. Excuse me. And Gable's put on a fight. I don't think anybody could sit here and say that Gable's 2 matches that he has had with Gunther in the ring have not been jaw-dropping, noteworthy, true classman sport of wrestling. Like, those matches between him and Gunther have been amazing. And with the Alpha Academy by his side, now I'm curious to hear everyone's opinion. If it is Gable to dethrone Gunther, do we think that putting Gable on that fast track path to stardom as an IC champion, does that only help him, or does that also boost the Alpha Academy's credit in the faction war that has been happening in the WWE? We'll start with you, Chris.
Yeah, I would love if Gable would be the one to dethrone him. Again, we talked about this yesterday, and kind of made the correlation with what they did with Orange Cassidy at All Out, All In, All Out, one of the two.
One of the two.
Yeah.
It's sad to say that, but yes.
Where both of them, and Gable didn't lose the title, but both of them kind of made their star in losing efforts, and you can kind of see a future for both of those. And we talked about ceilings for each guy, and Eric and I agree that Orange Cassidy's ceiling is AEW World Champion. Chad Gable's ceiling is probably that Intercontinental Champion. I don't know if we see him winning the world title. I would love to have him do that because he's such a great wrestler and his character's gotten over. But I think with all the past that he's had, the Shorty G stuff, the comedy character and everything, I think his ceiling is IC champion. I would love if, to continue on the faction wars aspect, if the Creeds come up and join Alpha Academy. I just think it makes sense.
If who comes up? I'm sorry.
Good for me.
The Creed brothers.
Alpha Academy,
Yeah.
or Creed Brothers to Alpha Academy,
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that'd be a good pairing, but they don't seem to be coming up anytime soon for some reason. Go ahead, Eric.
I think first off, I am not going to listen to anybody that may still think that Chad Gable cannot main event. I refuse to listen to that anymore. I mean, not only was the match incredible, I mean, a very legitimate match of the year contender, but everything that they did to boost him, even on social media, videos of him arriving to the arena with his kids and doing all the family stuff. I mean, they WWE loves that kind of stuff. And, for the effort that he gave, the sky is still the limit for him. And I said yesterday on our show, I definitely see Orange Cassidy as World Heavyweight Champion, or not, AEW World Champion minus the heavyweight part. But with Chad Gable, it's a very real possibility that he could always just be that guy that contends for it, but can never win the big one. I hope that's not the case, but I could also see them using him in that respect if you want a good main event match out of somebody. I mean, Chad Gable has shown that he can go with the best of them. So that's going to get him his opportunities. Whether they pull the trigger on it, I think remains to be seen. And then when it comes to Gunther, when you look at, if there was a physical WWE record book and you were looking up great champions, longest reignings, that's whose face and that's whose just picture statuesque frame should be there, not the honky tonk man. Okay. So this is good. This is good for wrestling to cement Gunther as longest reigning Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion that there is. I mean, the fact that we're even adding heavyweight to that phrase, it gives it additional prestige. It returns it to those days of glory. I mean, there is nobody better that could have done that. So, yeah, this is great.
I saw
he loses
a
it fast, and we'll see.
I saw a stat the other day that since Gunther has been in the WWE system, like NXT UK, NXT, and WWE, he hasn't had a title 45 days in that run. Because remember, he held the United Kingdom champion for over 800 days. Now he's had the IC title for over the 400 plus days. Like, there has been a time where it's very, very minimal, like a little bit over a month that
only
he hasn't
45
had a title.
days. That is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, he looks like a wrestling champion. Yeah, as was previously said. Yeah. Man, Honky Tonk, his record going down. It's like one of the last vestiges of my childhood disappearing from WWE. It's like WWE
eliminated.
Yeah, WWE is always, about the present. It's always about the past doesn't exist. Bye, Dylan. What do we do without a host? I'm lost. Oh, there he is. Ah! No, WWE is always about the present. It's the past doesn't matter. That's the way I feel. Oh, good.
Yeah, I just had to get a drink. My apologies.
The past doesn't matter. It's always about the present. What's happening in the present, and in the present right now, they're wiping all these records clean, and they're trying to make this new generation of champions. Bianca Belair and Gunther, Roman Reigns, and the like, and the New Day. I think passed Demolition's record a couple years ago. It was the longest reigning tag champions.
Yeah,
and just wiping away the past. which I mean, it's good. You know, you got more talented people holding these records. It's a good thing. But back to Chad Gable. Yeah, Chad Gable could be a legit main eventer. Just the emotions going in that match, man. People were on his side for sure,
It's
and
insane.
the performance by both men was terrific. I mean, you look at Gable and Gunther physically, and you would figure Gable wouldn't be able to do a lot of his repertoire against Gunther, you know. But I mean, Gable physically is he's like an ant in how strong he is. You know, he can he can lift like several times his body weight. You know, he's lifting Gunther here and there, and it was pretty impressive. And I could see Gable, you know, possibly getting a world title run at some point. You know, it'd be like a Mick Foley type thing. The guy who's told forever and ever, you know, you're too this, you know, you're too that. You don't deserve it. You're never gonna win it. You know, the same thing as he said when he was Shorty G. You know, I could totally see him getting a world title run. I mean, he's proven that he can go, he can act, he can pull people's heartstrings, he can do the WWE comedy. I mean, he can do it all, and brings more credence to Alpha Academy as well, with his performances and all that, and kind of drags them along with him. But yeah, and I'm nothing but impressed with Gable.
I've never heard someone compare Gable as an ant. That I think that was probably the
new one.
best. Yeah, that's definitely a new one. That I might have to clip that out because that was definitely funny. I had to mute myself. I was laughing. That was good. That was a good one. That's a good comparison. But Kay, over to you.
Well, just something that I was thinking about while Asa was talking. You know, we talk a lot about who the best technical wrestler in the world is, and I feel like no one in WWE is ever in those conversations. And I feel like Gable is someone who potentially could be. You know, like as far as the WWE roster, I think that he's one of the best technical wrestlers. And I didn't see the match with him and Gunther from this week, but I saw the one from the previous week. And I feel like it really shined during that match, both he and Gunther. As a matter of fact, I think they're both probably the best technical wrestlers in the company. And seeing them in a match together was like magic. So I'm really glad to hear they had a match on Monday. I can't wait to go back and watch it. I'm a little bit behind because of the school year starting, but I don't remember what the question was now.
What was the exact?
Yeah, what was your question?
Chad Gable, what do you think?
Yeah, pretty much.
Was that valid?
Yeah, pretty much. Do we think that if Gable is the one to dethrone Gunther, is that only going to really boost him up in his single run, or do we think that's also going to help the Alpha Academy as well? You know, with now the title around his waist, and you know, definitely boosting them in that faction war that's been happening. Of course,
well, I think
WWE.
Anytime a member of a faction gets a belt, I think it's a boost for the whole faction, not just that lone member, because it makes them look like contenders as a group. And as far as how will it boost Chad Gable if he were to win, I kind of think that it would stay more of a mid-card belt if Chad Gable were to win it. I think he could be a main eventer. I don't know if WWE thinks he could be a main eventer. They generally don't push shorter wrestlers. And as the terrible name Shorty G implies, like he's pretty short. And so I feel like that might, in their eyes, not put him as a possible candidate for a world championship, which is a shame because his talent is definitely there. And I mean, you have anomalies like Rey Mysterio, obviously.
Kurt Angle.
But and Kurt Angle. But I mean, Shorty G is shorter than Kurt Angle, isn't he? I mean, he's like super short.
Kurt's like 6'2".
Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow,
I mean,
I didn't even know Kurt Angle was 6'2".
yeah, I didn't think he was very short, but I guess I'm 5'2", so my perception of tall is different than most people's. But yeah, I think the mid card belt might be as far-reaching as Gable can go. That's not a height joke. That's just a
Yeah, right.
career.
I don't know. Nothing as bad as Colin was an ant before, so I think we're safe there. But nonetheless, no. I mean, I hope. I think we all would hope that he gets that big push to something of a world heavyweight or even a universal championship opportunity down the road at some point. I think his athleticism that he's shown time and time again, even before going up against someone like Gunther, him and Cody Rhodes match a while back was also very interesting. Another great match to pull from in the sense of what Gable's actual ability can be and what he can do as a solo star. So whether or not he is the one to dethrone Gunther, congratulations, Gunther, for beating, unfortunately, the Honky Tonk Man's record, an old record that has now been, updated to the current times. Like Asa said, they like to stay in the present, the now. And Gunther is the now. He might be the future. He might be the forever for a very long time. So congratulations, Gunther. Very proud of you. He definitely deserves it. We shall see who will dethrone him in the coming weeks. We do have, of course, Fastlane and a whole bunch of other fun pay-per-views and matches to come. But besides all of that fun stuff, there is the pending question that was raised on Monday Night Raw. Who will be going to SmackDown this Friday? So since we've had Jey Uso, because of Cody Rhodes' power in the back, being able to swing Jey Uso back into the wrestling world and putting him on Monday Night Raw. Now Adam Pearce has kind of alerted us that there will be someone leaving Raw to now go over to SmackDown because of the replacement, because of the trade in some aspect. Who do we think could be that trade? Many people are saying it's Cody because, like he's been shouting since day one, he needs to finish the story, that unfortunately he never gets to leave the end chapter time and time again. Many people say maybe Tommaso Ciampa. Maybe someone like Shinsuke could go over. Maybe someone like a lady will go over there instead to replace them. So there's a lot on the table here. What's up?
Dylan, are we clear who picked the person who's going? Is it
No,
Pierce?
not yet.
We don't know who picked the person?
No, we don't know who's coming.
We don't know
yet.
anything yet.
We know nothing until tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow will be the day that we will know who will be going over to SmackDown. But it seems like Raquel Rodriguez might be also on that trading block as well. So men or woman could be coming over to SmackDown due to the Jey Uso trade. And we'll start with Asa and Kay here. Who do we think will be the person of interest to be traded over to SmackDown? Do we think it could be Cody and maybe he finally gets off of the same chapter that he's been reading since the WrestleMania 39? Or do we think it's someone brand new to kind of spruce up SmackDown a little bit more?
I'm gonna cheat. I've got two. I'm sorry.
No, go
I
right
also
ahead.
have two.
I got Cody, obviously for obvious reasons, start to build against Roman. That's what I've been screaming for months, get him on SmackDown so we can start to build. I've had a number of ways to try and get him over there. So obviously it could be Cody, number one. Number two, I was thinking Damian Priest.
Wow.
Because that was, Judgment Day is on this big high. They just grabbed all these belts, and it would be a big strike to them, just to be a big WWE shocking thing to bring Damian Priest over to SmackDown, and could be a way to start to turn him face. He leaves Judgment Day, kind of turns over a new leaf maybe, and a new look. And then JD McDonough sneaks over into the Judgment Day finally over on Raw. That's my thought.
So I'm going to interrupt him now, and I'm going to tell him why he's wrong. So Damian Priest just won the tag belts with Finn Balor. He can already go to SmackDown.
True. That's right.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to get traded there. He can go on either show.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just had the thought about Damian Priest. Okay.
Okay, we'll swing
So-
back to you for your second pick. So everyone could pick two. We'll start with two people. We could do man and woman, two women, two men, whatever. We'll swing back to you. So I'm gonna let you think on your second person instead. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Who do you have for possibly leaving Raw to come to SmackDown and make an impact like no other?
So before I tell you who I think it should be, I'm going to tell you who I think it shouldn't be, and that's any woman.
Wow.
Because
okay.
SmackDown is already full of awesome women, and
Okay.
Raw is like clutching at straws,
Yeah.
trying to find
Yeah.
people for Rhea
good
to
point.
wrestle. And so, like, pulling any woman from there, even Raquel Rodriguez, would be a terrible move on their part. Like, they're already
Yeah.
imbalanced. That would just be adding weight to the heavier load already.
Yeah.
So I think Cody obviously is the best choice. My second choice is Dominic Mysterio. The reason why
you
is
also
because I
think
think if you put Dominic over there, Judgment Day already goes to whatever show they freaking want to. So he can
Yeah.
still have the Judgment Day be behind him and support him, but then he can continue the feud with his father, leading
Okay.
eventually to the
Yeah.
hair versus mask match that I want more than any match ever in WWE.
Wait, now I'm sorry. Now I gotta butt in because now I just thought of something crazy, and
Mhm.
Asa kind of put that in the air for me here. Why? Because okay, if let's play the game. Let's play the fantasy
Mhm.
game that we love playing over here on the Last Week of Wrestling podcast. We love fantasy booking. We love fantasy shit. So let's talk fantasy ideas here. If it is Mr. Dirty Dom himself,
Mhm.
what if Dirty Dom goes over and JD is the guy that goes with him as a manager / helper for SmackDown, making the Judgment Day, to what Asa was saying, now more useful and versatile, allowing Finn and Damian, who are now tag team champions, to go on either show because they're both
Mhm.
Raw and SmackDown champions, and now having a keen eye over on the competition for, of course, SmackDown besides Raw. Since
Mhm.
Dominic's going to be there all the time, him and JD maybe will be able to work side by side and maybe make an impact over on the singles division in SmackDown.
Mhm.
How do we feel about that?
I don't like it.
Oh, I don't like it.
I don't like
Sorry.
Dominic. I'm sorry. I don't like Dominic and JD. I just don't see those
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
I don't see those.
I don't
two
see
as a
someone like
pair.
lower than him managing him.
Yeah,
Like,
Rhea
is-
and like they
Oh,
they
no,
are that
Bobby
package.
managing.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, it's anything is possible, but okay.
But I didn't like my suggestion either, so don't feel bad.
All right.
You didn't
Now I
like your
won't feel
own
bad.
Well, I was
Suggestion?
wrong. It was a bad suggestion because they're the tag
Yeah.
team champions. Yeah. So
So,
But that way,
well,
like, because they're the tag team champions, Dominic is going to be on SmackDown. They can come over to SmackDown anytime they want. Rhea, who's like attached as a hip to Dom, is obviously going to show up on the show to like be his backup or whatever.
mhm.
Plus, that could give us some interesting women feuds because there's nothing over there on Raw for her except for Becky, and I don't want to see a Becky Rhea feud. So
Well, Becky's going to NXT Tuesday for the NXT Women's Championship.
yeah, so then that leaves Rhea in a desert of women, a desert of talent.
She's got
She's got
Chelsea
Shayna
Green.
Baszler. She's got Shayna Baszler. Actually, I take that back.
Yeah.
She is a topic for tonight's show. But
I know, I
she
saw
also
that.
has she has Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. I mean, hey, listen, I'm not throwing out great.
I'm talking
great
about
people.
women on her level,
Listen,
Dylan. Come
I'm just
on,
saying,
Piper
all
Niven.
I'm saying is
Hey,
that
Piper
she has
Niven's on Rhea's
somebody.
level. I'll say that. I think she is.
I don't know about all that.
What?
I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
Well,
I
don't know
agree.
about all
I-
that.
yeah,
You're have to start
Yeah.
to come back now, aren't you?
yeah.
But listen, I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that there. But Chris, so who do you have? Who are your two picks? Eric, I'm sorry. Who are your
That's
two
okay.
picks for coming to SmackDown tomorrow night?
I will tell you who it's not. It's
Okay.
not Cody. It's not Cody. I think that's one, that's too easy, and two, he can already also go to SmackDown and just whenever he wants. I mean, he kind of just has keys to the kingdom. See what I did there.
Yeah, pun intended.
But I'm going to go either or. I think it'll either be Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens.
I was just.
I think that would be. I mean, I love them together. However, I don't necessarily want to see another breakup yet. So I'd rather them be split this time naturally by way of some sort of trade, as opposed to Kevin turning on Sammy and breaking all of our hearts. Not saying I wouldn't enjoy it if that was what actually happened, but here's a chance to kind of keep them as allies should the need arise to do it. Sami Zayn also has a lot of things that he needs to atone for related to the bloodline as well. He also plays a very sympathetic underdog babyface, and he can do the same thing over on SmackDown as well. Who knows? We might get one more Roman versus Sammy out of it, for all we know.
Maybe.
That'd be cool.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's what I'm taking as my second pick is Sammy. Yeah.
Sammy? Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
I saw... Who did I see? Yeah, I saw Cody. I think everybody's going to... Safe bet is Cody, But again, to Eric's point, I am going to steal the line you just said, Eric. I'm sorry, but he does have keys to the kingdom, so he can kind of go on. Hell, he can go on NXT tomorrow, on Tuesday for all we care. But nonetheless, Cody, I feel would probably be the easiest answer because of the fact that we've been waiting for this to kind of come and finally get to the chapter that we've been waiting for, the dethrone of Roman and everything that's been happening since 2012 now. It feels like it's been 10 years running with this 3-year storyline. Only in inning 5, maybe in baseball terms, as Paul Heyman would say. But nonetheless, but my second pick, Sammy's a good one. Dominic, I did see, honestly, as well. Maybe now letting him solo dolo it over in, SmackDown would be something that I could definitely see going forward. Hopefully we see maybe him or maybe Tommaso Ciampa was my other pick as well. I mean, you have Austin Theory, you have Grayson Waller, you have maybe way type of realignment happening. Gargano comes back. Maybe that becomes that SmackDown faction in essence. We could kind of build around.
Wait, say the faction again?
It would be Tommaso Ciampa and Austin Theory, and then it would be Gargano. And kind of start doing that NXT.
As faces or heels?
Faces, more or less. Because Austin Theory, when he was a part of The Way, he was a lot more of a likable character.
He was in that.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wolf, if Wolf was here, he would explain it a lot better.
He was in a chat, I think, at one point.
Yeah, he was hanging out in the chat and everything before. But whatchamacallit, yeah, I know he would explain it way better than I'm about to butcher the shit out of it. But nonetheless, that would kind of be the thing I could kind of see happening, kind of making the fun faction on SmackDown, going against people like Ace's favorite tag team of all time, the Suit Profits, and everybody, and Bobby Lashley, and kind of now getting into SmackDown, having heavyweight factions being built up and excited and getting ready for as well going forward. So hopefully that is something we all get to see. I mean, like I said, Cody seemingly is the easiest choice here to say because of everything that has happened prior, him being traded over to Raw, now possibly going back to SmackDown. But like to Eric's point, he does have keys to the kingdom. So we will have to wait and see, what will happen. But I know Eric's just having a little bit of technical difficulties like we all are every day. Every time we try to do any of these things, everybody's always having a problem with something or another. Technology is great, people. Don't let anyone.
I really like your Ciampa pick. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's something fun. It's something exciting.
Yeah.
It's something that gets people to want to watch Friday Night SmackDown after a long week of Raw and of Dynamite and Rampage and that. It's just like it's so much, so many things happening, people.
And I
feels like
I think people like him enough because I think most people are expecting it to be Cody, and I don't want people to be disappointed when it's not Cody. So I feel like people like him enough where that wouldn't be a disappointment. It would be like a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
So, Chris, we were talking about who was coming over to SmackDown. Everyone was kind of giving 2 choices and everything. So we said Cody, we said Dominic Mysterio. Eric? What were your 2 choices again?
I said either Sami Zayn or KO.
Sami Zayn, KO, right? Sami Zayn for Asa as
Chris
well.
didn't
Was one
like
of
it.
his choices.
Yeah,
no,
because
that's a good pick.
those are my picks. He knows
Oh,
those are my picks.
I
Yeah.
We're
said Cody
simpatico, bud.
yeah, listen, I said Cody and Tommaso because
What?
you might have the way kind of start reuniting over
Oh,
on
okay.
That'd be
SmackDown
cool. That'd be
instead.
fun. Yeah.
Maybe Gargano now comes back, and instead of just having Candice LeRae lose in squash matches, she starts bringing some type of levity and excitement with Indy Hartwell over on SmackDown and giving
Mhm.
maybe more women like
Nothing's
Shotzi
wrong.
an opportunity to run and have some more big moments. Maybe when even Liv gets back, having some more fun competition with Liv going forward as
Yeah.
well. So maybe give also Chelsea Green and Piper Niven a run for their money in the tag team division as well. So something to kind of bring a little bit more of firepower onto SmackDown. I mean, they already have it. Don't get me wrong. Like we've said,
Mhm.
Raw is the one that unfortunately this year alone is lacking in the women's division. Unfortunately, and that's
That's
maybe
everybody.
yeah.
Don't get me on a tangent about women's wrestling right now.
Yeah, no. Well, we'll probably be talking about it with AEW. So trust me, we're gonna maybe
it's
talk about it
not-
with AEW.
Yeah, it's not just all companies. It's not
No,
just
no,
AEW. It's
Yeah.
all companies right now. That's
But hey,
Yeah.
we are going to go to a
frustrating.
cool women's show in October, though, bud.
We are.
Yeah. What
Yes,
you want
we
to
are.
talk
Oh,
about?
what show are you
real
going
quick?
to?
It's called Wrestling Revolver in Dayton, Ohio. They're doing an all women's show for about 2 hours. Renee Paquette is actually the host,
Oh, awesome.
Cool.
so that'll be
That's
a
really
fun
cool.
little
Yeah.
show to go to, and it's right up the road, about 40 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
That's always nice to have local shows like that.
Mhm.
That's always really, really cool. So,
But-
so Chris,
But real quick,
who are your
I'll go
pick?
in. Yeah, I was gonna say Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens. I think that kind of puts that divide with Jey Uso a little bit more, and then maybe gets a little bit on Cody as well, of people
Mhm.
going, "Hey, you brought him over here, and now one of the more popular people in the locker room are now gone." That's, I think, how you can split KO and Sammy without one of them turning on each other, because I don't know if we're ready for that quite yet. And then
No,
it
not yet.
also
Have our hearts broken.
kind of gets them back to their singles competition. I think KO would be good over on SmackDown to maybe do, I know he's done a couple matches with Roman, but he has the history over there with Roman. Sammy could also go over there because he has the history with Roman.
Mm-hmm.
He could also win a United States champion and kind of help elevate that title.
That would
So
be
I
exciting.
think it'll be one of those two.
Okay. All righty. Well, now going from that, and we kind of started talking about the women's division a little bit here. Shayna Baszler, of course, we know won against Ronda Rousey, making Ronda retire from WWE as of now, at least. Probably expect her maybe in a year or two to come back and whatnot, but nonetheless. Me and you both, we're both praying for that to never happen again. But nonetheless, Shayna Baszler's had 2 matches since that win. One recently with Zoe Starks, which was pretty good. Not gonna lie, I did get to catch the match, and it was very, it was good from what I saw. Definitely good sportsmanship at the end. Maybe a feud going forward between those two, at least in friendly competition. Not really a feud in the sense of one hating the other. I know that they've had the idea of doing it in NXT at one point while Shayna was in WWE with, of course, Ronda, but it never happened. Now having it now on Raw that we saw this past week maybe is something we see going forward. Maybe they become a tag team. Who really knows? But nonetheless, what do we think is Shayna's future in the WWE after Ronda's match and her 2 matches she's had since then? Who would like to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
Hopefully, it's a bright future. I mean, as far as ability, Shayna is one of the top ones. She's taken MMA style, top ones in the WWE.
Mhm.
She's taken her MMA style and mixed it with the WWE style of wrestling, I think, very well. I think if we're talking realism, there's no woman, maybe barring a Charlotte Flair, whose stuff looks better, or Bianca Belair, even. most of the time, whose stuff looks better. Yeah, the one thing that's maybe a detriment, and I'm just being honest here, WWE loves to push women with looks. They love to push, sexy, hot, sexy women who can also wrestle. And she is not. She doesn't fall into hot, sexy women. Let's just be honest. She's not the type that WWE usually likes to push and wants on their trucks and wants on their posters and this and that. And hopefully that'll change. Hopefully she can change that. And because I don't give a fuck. Like I just want to see women who can wrestle.
Right.
Like I'm not trying to watch
a beauty pageant here.
A beauty pageant. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to watch a wrestling match. I want to see ability.
Right.
I want to see a good match. I'm not trying to be impressed by their beauty or dazzled by their hair and makeup or anything. Like I don't care.
You hear that, Charlotte? You hear that, Bianca? We're not trying to be dazzled. All right, cut it out with all that shit.
And that's the style WWE does, and hopefully they can get away from that a bit. But so hopefully if WWE can get over themselves a little bit, she has a really bright future in the WWE. And I think the next, 6 months or so with what's her name? Ronda Rousey. With Ronda Rousey gone, I think are going to be really key for Shayna. And just man, I have nothing but good things to say about her. And it's all about the opportunities that she gets, because I think she's good on the mic. I think she's improving on the mic, and the Ronda Rousey feud gave her the chance to improve on the mic, and already very good in the ring. So I think they've got something here, and if they give her the chance, she'll develop into one of the very best and be up there, with Charlotte Flair.
Okay, would you like to add anything to that?
I agree. I think that she would have had a women's championship by now if she looked differently than she does. But unfortunately, that's, I think, what's holding her back. I want her to have a feud with Rhea Ripley. I think both of their hard-hitting styles would make for a really interesting women's match. I think they could. Shayna's not quite there, but I think they could almost go toe-to-toe on the mic. I think that she can get there. And I just need Rhea to wrestle someone who can wrestle and is not like a twig, I want someone that I feel like she can wrestle, that she's not going to snap in half the second they step in the ring,
She just said Rodriguez.
Yeah, Rodriguez was good. I'm not putting Rodriguez down, but prior to that, and the other options available on Raw are so limited that I feel like it has to be Shayna.
I gotcha. Okay, I like you guys' points. What about you, Chris and Eric? What do you guys think?
You wanna go? Because I'm gonna squash everybody's dreams.
Oh,
Okay.
You know what? Yeah, you know what?
Now
Just
I'm
tell
intrigued.
everybody. Let's start with you then first. If you want to let me know that Santa's not real now, you go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we're beating around the bush. This is going to be a tag team. I think it's laid out pretty clear that Zoe and her are going to become a tag team, and that's unfortunate because I think both of them on their own deserve a little bit better, but they need tag teams to fill that division.
Right.
I mean, eventually you have to have tag teams, and with their interactions the way it's been, I think that's going to happen, and I think it's disappointing that they're going to go that direction.
What?
But
Now,
even if they go that direction, the women's tag teams stay together for such a short period of time.
Yeah.
But even if they're a tag team, they're gonna be a tag team for what, 3 weeks, and then they're gonna split them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't name a tag team that's been together
for
longer than a month.
Is it because of the fact that you believe that they're going to be a tag team, that their opportunity to have those really great solo runs will be kind of crushed after the very short tag team that they'll be, alongside each other with? That even after that there is no real opportunity for them going forward in any type of singles run, and if anything, it's squash matches or matches that really don't make any type of impression for us as fans. So
I would say more of that for Shayna, because I mean, Shayna has been around for a long time, and they've had a chance to kind of build her up to be what they wanted Ronda Rousey to be, and they haven't. That's me going back to kind of my Chad Gable point is I don't know if I have faith in them with, the past that we've seen. I mean, we've seen Shayna in tag teams with Nia Jax and Ronda, and we saw her come up and have her huge debut and go after Becky Lynch, and then she lost, and then nothing happened. So
Right.
I think if they were going to do something with her, they would have already done it by now. And and it's not anything on her, but she's no spring chicken. I mean, she's in her 40s, and that window is closing.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and look it up.
42, I think. Yeah,
she's in her early 40s.
Shayna, really?
I remember WWE people like that, where you look it up. It's like Damian Priest is 40.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't know, and you look it up. He's 40, dude.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
I thought he was like a young up and comer.
LA Knight doesn't look 40, but I know he's 40.
40, yeah.
And the Miz doesn't look
like
40.
LA Knight looks 40.
Yeah, LA Knight.
You said that in your podcast. Yeah, you said that he does look 40.
Well, same thing with Finn. I think Finn's in his 40s too.
Yeah.
It's so like that window is obviously the window. Is there, and I think they had it with the Ronda, but when we came back and we were at the SummerSlam match and we saw it, and it wasn't really well received in the arena.
Silence echoed in the stadium.
The one thing we said after the show was like they have to have a good follow up, and like you said, she's had 2 matches since SummerSlam, so like I think the momentum is kind of gone.
Wow.
With Zoe, I think they have a little bit more of a future with Zoe. But again, if they put them in a tag team for the next month or so, and then they break them up and then they feud, are they just going to, forget about them again? That's why I don't have faith right now in WWE booking women well. I don't have faith in anybody booking women well right now. But that's where I see what's going to happen. It's going to be tag team, strange bedfellows. They split, and then I don't know. Something else happens.
I just really want to see them book Shayna Baszler as like, I don't know if you guys have watched her on Up, Up, Down, Down, but she is an absolute riot to watch. Like that is very easily a babyface vibe that just knows how to tap, nap, and snap. I mean, bring a little bit more of her actual personality into her character, and I think that they're onto something there. I mean, she was one of the longest reigning NXT Women's Champions of all time. That wasn't that wasn't an accident. I would just hope that, again, much to everyone else's points, that this is just a quick tag team if they have to do it. And then just, give her an earnest shot at trying to claw her way back to the women's division. I think she's earned it.
Okay. Now, let me ask this one more question with Shayna Baszler, and then we'll move on to the last topic of WWE. With Shayna, do we think that if they don't, what Chris is saying comes true, where they put her in a tag team opportunity, do we see some type of gold in Shayna Baszler's future with the way things are happening for her right now? Or do we think that as of SummerSlam, with those 2 matches, like to your guys' point, do you believe that steam is done and maybe it's just going to be these rare occurrence pop-ups on Raw and really nothing that follows through, and we kind of almost forget that Shayna Baszler's around?
Wait, I thought I lost you guys there for a second. Can you hear me?
No, you're good.
All right, can you repeat that for me? I think I lost you there for a second.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Do you think that since Shayna's only had 2 matches roughly since SummerSlam, do we think that if they don't put her in that tag team, thing that Chris was talking about, is there still steam left for Shayna Baszler to possibly be a champion, or do we think that that's now losing hope and it's just going to be rare pop-ups here and there on Raw going forward?
I don't think so. I think one thing that we're all kind of forgetting is we don't really necessarily know what they're going to do with these two yet. Yes, we saw the sign of respect, but to this point we don't. There's not even there's no matches announced for next week yet. So we're all just kind of assuming that we'll get that tag team run right there. I mean, I think if there is some sort, I would rather see an alliance of sorts more so than a tag team. More of just kind of an I'll watch your back, you've got mine sort of thing. But let them both kind of just go after things in their own way. I mean, it would be different for Shayna, but Zoe has a very similar look that, like, if you just look at them, I mean, it's like, okay, they seem like they could be friends. They seem like this could be, something chill here. I'm still just very much holding out hope for a proper singles run beginning. It's just, we'll see what happens.
Okay. Asa?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Excuse me, talking about having kind of a loose alliance. You watch my back, I'll watch yours. That sounds better than what I had in mind, honestly. Man, he kind of ruined my hopes about Shayna telling me she was 40. I had no idea. I saw a bright future for her. I was thinking she was like, 29 years old or some shit, and had years ahead of her, and I had no idea. No idea. But yeah, as far as the team, I could see them teaming up. I could see them teaming up. I could also see them not. I'm not sure what WWE has in store for her now. I'm not quite optimistic because, as has been said, if they were going to use her well, they might have already. They should have already. So who knows? Who knows?
Okay.
I like Eric's idea. I like them being like an alliance, but not necessarily partners. Maybe teaming up every now and then.
Yeah,
I have no faith in the women's tag division
of sorts.
Yeah. And so I think I don't see like a long tag relationship in their future. I don't see a long tag relationship in anyone's future, except maybe Chelsea and Niven, which I love, by the way. I love her just being like, I'm the champ too now, and that working.
Which is the first time in WWF history, or WWE, that's how old I am, WWE history, that's happened. Nobody's ever just come and claimed a belt before and it counted. So that's something.
Yeah, that is new. That is we're freshing, I guess.
It's 60 years of history. Nobody's ever done that. And it worked.
But there was no follow-up either.
No, there's been no follow-up. Right. No. Yeah. There's been one match, and that's it. It's...
Well, she got sick.
Piper Niven?
She's sick.
Is she?
She's sick, yeah.
Hey, I'm telling you, those belts are cursed. Those belts have to be
cursed. They mentioned it even on Raw about the belts being cursed.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. They're joking about it on Raw even.
Yeah, they need to get rid of that and just do a mid-card women's belt.
I think at this point, yes, I agree. Get rid of the women's tag belts. There's something
wrong with them. It looks like even with the men's tag, they don't know what they're doing. I know. Yeah, I mean, they just tag teams and WWE, not a good combo.
Yeah,
not that there's anything wrong with the Judgment Day holding the tag belts, by the way.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
There's the Judgment Day holding the tag belts.
That's fine. That's fine.
But if Sammy and Kevin, then it's
then there's a problem. Exactly.
I got you. Little biased on that, but I like it. I'm a Judgment Day fan too, so I can second that. But of course, the biggest news besides Gunther becoming, of course, the reigning and newly reigning and defending longest IC champion, and Jay coming to Raw, and all these other crazy topics that we've already talked about. Our boy, Dr. Thugonomics, he is back, the bald spot and all. He is back on SmackDown, wrestling in some aspect or another. He was the host, which he didn't really host Payback. He just did a special guest referee match with LA Knight and The Miz, and I guess you can consider that hosting a pay-per-view. In WWE world, it works, not in the real world, but nonetheless, how do we feel about John Cena coming back to, of course, SmackDown. And what do we see him possibly doing this next 2 months, roughly? Supposedly he's back. It is because of the writer strike that's happening with SAGFA, right? SAGFA?
SAG-AFTRA.
Thank you. That there's no movies being made. The writers are on strike. Pay the writers better, people. You have no good movies without the writers. The directors aren't really doing much. They're directing. Don't get me wrong. They got a lot of responsibilities as directors, but the writers make the film. So give the writers their fair share. Stop giving them low percentages or nothing at all, really. But nonetheless, because that is all happening, we don't see The Rock coming back. We don't see Batista coming back. But we see good old Johnny Boy coming back. And, many people are happy about this, like Santos just said. Many people are wondering what's the point of it. Is there a opportunity? I think on No Bones, Ace and K, we're talking about it, that maybe John will dethrone Roman Reigns. That would be very interesting. A lot of people would be in an uproar about that. He is the closest to beating or tying, I believe, Ric Flair with all-time championships. So
It's tied.
He's tied, yeah.
it would be tying, right?
He
Yeah.
is-
No, he's already tied.
He already is.
tied.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's
It's
breaking
in
it.
Flair's record, yeah.
Oh, okay. So he would be breaking Flair's record. But we'll start with you, Chris. What are your thoughts with the Doctor of Thugonomics coming back to SmackDown?
I'm sorry. That thing never ends. Can you repeat the question?
No, you're good. So the Dr. Thugonomics is back, John Cena. What are your thoughts with him coming back for the next month or two? Is there a title opportunity in the future for him? Is he coming back to do these quote unquote hosting pay-per-views that are just special guest referee matches? What are your guys' thoughts for John Cena coming back? How much nostalgia does it bring back to all of us coming back from the 2002 era of John Cena, Ruthless Aggression?
Yeah, I was right there. That was me growing up watching. Kind of grew up with John Cena. I had a couple thoughts on it. I had one idea where, Gunther gets the record on Saturday. Maybe John Cena comes in on Friday and has that open challenge, and that's the one title he hasn't had in WWE.
Oh,
Maybe that's kind of the final boss for Gunther, and then he hits that record. I think that would be cool to have Cena put him over.
That's interesting, yeah.
Okay.
That the opportunity's right there. Why not try it? Give Gunther that nice rub, but it is what it is. It doesn't sound like that's what's going to happen. The other one I had was, it kind of looks like they're doing a Miz Cena feud again, judging on how Monday went. He didn't really mention LA Knight. It was more about John Cena. So I don't know if that's a program. If it is, I'm kind of meh on that program. I'd rather have Cena, if he's going to do all these dates, come in and put over a younger talent, someone that you want to build behind, because the Miz and Cena are going to feud. Cena will probably win. What does that do? Or if Miz wins, are you then going to go push the Miz? Probably not. So what is this? What is this program? I like seeing John back. It's fun to see him back. It's weird that everybody loves John Cena again, because we went through such a time where everybody hated John Cena because he was being shoved down our throats. But
it's the Fruity Pebbles.
It's cool to see him back. Hopefully he does, kind of put over that younger talent. I don't want to see him, I don't think he added much to the match, special referee wise, to LA Knight and to the Miz, and that's fine if that's how you get him on TV.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, selfishly, if he's at Fastlane and Eric and I have the opportunity to go to that, if John Cena's wrestling on the show, that's an added bonus. But
for sure,
it's good to see him back. Let's see what he does.
Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be happy to see Big Match John. I think
John. I like
if I've got to choose between the two, either number 17 or the Grand Slam, I probably would rather see Grand Slam. we've seen Cena versus Roman. It'll be kind of just the usual, program between them. But Gunther is a very rare challenge for John Cena. I mean,
Yeah.
Wrestlers like that are once in a generation. So I would like to see that dream matchup happen. I mean, there's so much that especially on the mic. I mean, Gunther is now, he's just impressive on the mic. He's impressive in the ring. Cena can keep up with him and vice versa. I mean, I would like to see, a lot more interaction with them. That's just wishful thinking. But I think tomorrow is the India show. And I think that's where he and Rollins are teaming up to take on Imperium, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, I mean, you can lay the groundwork for that right now if you really, really wanted to. I know that this is just a 2-month deal for SmackDown as far as we know, but we don't know how long this writer strike is going to last. So if there is the opportunity for Cena to do kind of a edge type schedule to come back a little bit more frequently, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. I mean, there's just too much money to be made.
Okay. Kay and Asa, how do you guys feel about the Dr. Thugonomics coming back?
I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna interrupt you and jump in. So I want him to do both. I don't know if that's an option, but I want him to go after the IC title, and I want him to win it to complete his Grand Slam championship. And then I want him to challenge Roman Reigns, and I want him to win the belts for number 17.
John Cena super fan.
No, actually, I don't really like John Cena that much. But I feel like with all he's done for the company throughout his career, and with all that he's done for like Make-A-Wish, and just like that man needs to be like rewarded with everything. I feel like and he does have kind of like a set John Cena match now, but that match isn't bad. I mean, the match between him and Austin Theory was like nothing to really write home about at WrestleMania. But I feel like he still has good matches in him, and that maybe is just because he was wrestling like the most forgettable person on the roster. So yeah, I would like to see both happen for him, because I didn't realize he wasn't a Grand Slam champion. To me, that's like insane. So I think remedying that immediately is what should happen. But then, I don't know who is left to dethrone Roman that is a big enough name, and I feel like there's no name bigger than John Cena.
Okay. Asa?
Yeah. Man, I kind of would like to see him do both also, but I'm gonna do two different things I'd like to see. He's only there for 2 months, so I guess it's an either or. If we're gonna go the route of taking on young talent, I'd kind of like to see a feud with Grayson Waller. I think Waller has a lot of potential. I really like him, and for Cena to put him over would be a big deal for him. I think Waller's going to have a great career. Like I see big things for him in the future. I think he's going to be a major player for WWE. He has it all. And the other possibility I'd like to see is number 17. Let's go ahead and do it. Beat Roman for it. I don't want the Seth belt. Beat Roman for it. Get number 17. Let's make some fucking news, man. Like, go ahead and do it. Like, number 17, big deal. Beating Roman, big deal. It'd be one of the biggest moments in the history of the company. Who deserves it more than one of the men who's done, like Kay said, who's done so much for the company? Who deserves it more? I couldn't tell you. And then forget about fucking Roman and Cody. I don't give a fuck about that. Dude, Cena versus Cody at WrestleMania. I'd rather see Cena versus Cody, honestly.
Okay.
I was thinking Cena versus Roman at WrestleMania.
No, Cena versus Cody at WrestleMania. Yeah. Build towards that. That'd be more interesting to me, personally. I'm done with the bloodline feud, the bloodline and Roman. My interest level has dropped.
But we're not even in the 7th inning stretch yet. What are you talking about?
We're in the third inning.
Inning, guys. How are you guys hating this ball game right now?
I have no interest left. I read a few. I read a quote from Jim Cornette. I think it is about over, honestly. And I read a quote from Jim Cornette that was really funny today about Paul Heyman. He said Paul Heyman would rather climb a tree and lie than stand on the ground and tell the truth.
Yeah,
I too feel like it's over with the bloodline. I think they played their hand a little too quickly with Jimmy, and they're kind of in this limbo factor of not knowing what's going on. So yeah, hopefully we're at like the bottom of the 8th inning with this story. So maybe by Survivor Series we're 9th inning and we're done. Please to God. Because
you can still, you can still do all the interpersonal stuff you're going to do with the family with Roman. Roman doesn't have to be invincible. He's taken a pin already. We've seen he's not invincible.
Yeah.
Like I said, let's make some fucking history. Do number 17. Have him beat Roman. Let's have a big moment. Like, what are we fucking waiting for? We're waiting. We're always waiting to do this. Waiting to do this. Fucking do something.
Yeah. No, listen. I'm with you. I really am, because I too have kind of fell out of touch with this whole bloodline feud as of lately, and there's not been much of a spa, if you want to call it that, with them. Like, it's been like very stale. They've been really showing and playing their cards very loose and fast, like they've won the big bag. I truly think this is where now let's just get to the end. Let's if Roman's the demigod in the words of Chris Jericho, then just let him never ever ever lose his Super Saiyan powers and ride off into the sunset, and we'll make like a 7th belt or whatever, so that way some other people on SmackDown can win something and feel important over there on that blue brand. But that's gonna do it for WWE topics. I think we ran that one like the bloodline to the ground. So let's jump on to some AEW topics, because we've had a lot. We had 2 back-to-back pay-per-view weekends. We had All In, one of the biggest, most historic, well-known, now at least, well-known pay-per-view of all time. The first ever sold-out live audience, 81,000 plus in Wembley Stadium, a true great win of excellence, whatever you want to say. The AEW definitely brought the house down with that number, and is getting a lot of praise and high regards for that. Yes, we know there's been a lot of drama that circulated around All In. We're not going to touch upon about any of that. I think every podcast, every radio station, I think even Dr. Phil covered it. So we're not even going to touch upon it. We already know what happened. It is what it is. We are going to touch about it kind of briefly in essence, more or less about what's the future of Collision in one of the topics. But nonetheless, let's start with something fun. A lot of people didn't think it was going to happen, but we got them. The new ROH Tag Team Champions, Better Than You, baby, is really a thing. It's a thing of excellence. It's a thing of glory. I'm so happy to have seen those, my guys, you know what I mean? My guys finally get to the biggest peak of the mountaintop on the grandest stage of them all in the wrestling world. Of course, MJF and Adam Cole. If you've lived under a rock for the past 2 weeks, well, get out of there, Patrick Starr, because guess what? We got brand new ROH Tag Team Champions, and it is Better Than You, baby, and I'm very happy to see that happen. But with that comes, of course, a lot of conversations. Do we see them retaining these belts a very long time? Is there a possibility that they show up maybe at ROH or on an ROH pay-per-view to go and try to defend these ROH tag belts? Or, like we saw it All Out, is it just going to be a sporadic type of tag team defenses that we'll kind of see played out and strung along throughout the rest of this year? We'll start with Kay and Asa. How'd you guys feel, of course, when, MJF, the real better tag team, Kay, won those ROH tag team belts and everything? How did you guys feel? And what do you guys think's going to happen with MJF and Adam Cole?
I felt infuriated because the less superior tag team won, which I felt was a huge injustice in the world. I love Aussie Open, and I think it was just a crime that they lost. I think they have to go on Ring of Honor. You can't
Right.
hold the Ring of Honor tag belts and not go on the fucking show. Like, that would be ridiculous. So they have to show up. I mean, maybe just on a pay-per-view, but even that, like, the tag team division in Ring of Honor is a big deal. Like, I think it's almost bigger than their singles division, based on their weekly matches. And so to not have the belts appear on their show at all would be a real detriment to that company, which people pay to watch. And so
Yeah.
MJF and Adam Cole better show up, in my opinion, or I'm gonna be real pissed. What was the other question? Sorry, I'm just thinking about how much I'm angry I am that Aussie Open lost. Oh, that was a question. Okay.
Listen. That was pretty much the
Okay.
question. You know, do we think that they're going to come on to, you know, whether it's a Thursday night show just to say hello to, you know, the losers over there, Aussie Open,
Yeah.
sorry, okay. But, you know, or maybe to have a title defense, you know, against someone in the Ring of Honor, roster over there, because they have some great tag teams over there on Ring of Honor. Of course, if you guys are not subscribed to the Ring of Honor membership, definitely go ahead. It's $10 a month. It's definitely worth it. There's some great wrestlers on there, plus a whole bunch of classic matches from Daniel Bryan to Samoa Joe to even Mr. Phil Brooks himself is on there as well. So definitely go check out all of that great content over there, because it's definitely worth the $10 a month. Just in the old matches alone is worth the $10, besides the current roster that they have on a Thursday basis. I mean, you get to see people like Dalton Castle and the boys, you know, Brian Cage and Mogul Embassy, Aussie Open, and a whole lot more. So definitely go ahead and, you know, go get your subscription. Of course, if you can afford it. I know times are tough with everybody, but if you can, definitely it's worth the membership. But yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it right on the head for me as well, Kay. So we'll pass it over to Asa. What do you think, and how'd you feel, of course, with MJF and you know, Adam Cole, baby, getting those ROH tag team belts?
I was glad when they won. I love it. You know, I love the act. It's sweeping the nation. You know, people love them. I love, you know, anything like this that people just get behind, and just it's like pure love in wrestling. I love it. You know, there's not enough of that kind of thing happening. It's just fucking great, man, with the kangaroo kick and the double clothesline and all of it. It's great.
Sportsmanship.
Will they appear, and just the theater of it, you know, the you know, the darkness of their heart getting at them. Are they going to attack the other? Are they not? And just, you know, the theater of it all. I've really been enjoying it. But are they going to appear on Ring of Honor? I hope so, because like Kay was saying, the tag team division is a big deal over there.
Huge.
You know, you got the Lucha Brothers, you got the Kingdom, you got etc. I mean, a ton of great tag teams. So to take the belts away and not have them on there would be a big deal. So they need to show up every once in a while for sure. And as far as them being on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, I don't even know when the next one is.
They haven't announced it.
Yeah, they haven't announced it. Yeah. Yeah, if they would show up, that would be great. And I mean, it's like they're already at the shows where they're taping Ring of Honor. It would be easy enough to.
Yeah,
they're already in the back. So just come out and have them on the show every once in a while. Yeah. And
just to get the crowd excited and see them.
And for how long they're going to keep the belts, you know, they've already had them, you know, a little longer than I expected. And this act is going on a bit longer than I expected, but people are still digging it. So, you know, I'll be curious to see how long this does roll for, you know?
Wait, they've had the belts longer than you expected? They've had it for like a week and a half or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They've only had one defense of it.
Yeah, I kind of expected them to like
you thought they were going to lose on the first
Dynamite or something. Yeah, lose it real soon. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, MJF's a generational talent, and you know, Adam Cole is an undisputed all elite. So you know, you put the two of them together, They're better than you, baby.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, no pun intended, but that is the truth. But we'll pass it over now to Fightful's own group of fans over there, Mr. Eric and Mr. Daddy Magic over there. How you guys doing? And what do we how do we feel about, of course, MJF and Adam Cole winning the ROH belts? And do we see them possibly going to ROH, possibly, in the future on a TV viewing, or even just a pay-per-view alone?
I think pay-per-view is more likely.
Okay.
I will say that I don't have Honor Club right now, and we've talked about that on our show that we just, I don't know. We're not ready to pull the trigger on it yet, but who knows? Dylan, you might have sold me on it.
Listen, it's worth it.
I don't know. I think that, getting MJF onto the Ring of Honor pay-per-view will likely be Death Before Dishonor, as far as a December show, if I had to guess. I'd be totally fine with that. A lot of, one of the underlying layers to this overall story is that Adam Cole has gotten MJF to wrestle more in 2023 than he certainly did all of last year. So adding these additional appearances and things like that, I do like that aspect also being included in this story of like, I actually have to go do my job now. Like just that best friend kind of just joking vibe that they have with each other. So I could definitely see it on pay-per-view. I don't know. I'll say maybe for weekly TV. I don't watch right now, so I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to say no for weekly TV, and then I think they're going to lose the titles at WrestleDream in, 4 weeks? So I don't think they're going to make it to a Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
I keep forgetting about that show.
Okay.
Man, speaking of WrestleDream, that pay-per-view or that poster looks like a fucking nightmare, doesn't it?
Oh, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen the poster for it?
It's a little weird.
It's scary, man.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird looking. Yeah, they're all coming out of this like sand smoke thing or whatnot, attacking the Seattle dome or whatever that monument thing
Needle?
is. That's over
Space
there.
Needle.
The dome?
Yeah, thank you. The dome, the
Frazier's-
needle, whatever the hell's
Frazier's
over there.
house.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's like everybody's
Exactly.
face, and their faces are like they look like little dream demons, like from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, they're all
They
unhappy
got like
with each other.
tails, and they look mad. Everybody's face is mad, and they're all coming in Seattle. It's frightening.
Yeah, I'm sending this to you.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, this is, I can actually share it on the screen for everybody at home in case they have it as well. I'll Google that. But as I am doing that, I got a other topic. Hold on a second. Hustle Dream AEW. There it is. Hold on. Let's get this going for everybody over here because this is a very scary poster. That's that right here is everybody kind of coming out of the woodwork. Of course, it is Sunday, October 1st in Seattle. All kind of attacking the Space Needle. Look at Sting. Sting right there. I think
And you guys see the faces. Everybody, it's all these like angry faces just flying.
Yeah, all of them are kind of losing their stride. Darby Allin, Sting. You got Tony Storm on there, Britt Baker, Adam Cole. MJF looks the happiest out of everybody here on this.
Mox looks confused.
Mox looks very confused. Like, what the hell is he doing there? Jericho's probably just on a trip right now. Cassidy's just hanging out and everything. But very, very, very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff, of course, with that poster. But I forgot to ask if we could ask or talk about this topic, Asa, before, because this was kind of on your thing. But I thought it was a very interesting topic that you guys had on one of your recent podcast episodes about squash and jobber matches. And it kind of begged the question, and I kind of wanted to hear from you guys again, as well as hear from the junkies themselves about what are your thoughts about squash and jobber matches? Do we need them? Is it something that is a thing that we should be more, I guess, not comfortable is not the word I'm looking for, but more or less, is it something that we actually need or something maybe we should eliminate going forward? And I'm going to let Kay and Asa start this one because they had a very good point. Both of them did about that. So I'll let you guys have the floor and everything about the jobber and squasher matches and what your thoughts are and stuff.
Yeah, so basically, we were talking about this on podcast, and we're saying they have their place. I don't think we need to see them as much as we've seen them on Collision lately. I mean, you got this big Saturday show, and you're having 3 jobber matches. I don't know what the hell you're doing. Honestly, I don't know what's going on there. It's not WCW Saturday Night. It's not 1994. You got real competition on the TV. You need to have some real matches. But that being said, they do have their place. Sometimes you need to put someone over just as a monster. You want to have a 8-second just squash match. That's fine. And then have them destroy the guy after the bell. That's fine. I get it. But use it sparingly so that instead of rolling our eyes, being like, "Oh, it's a squash," instead of rolling our eyes, we're really looking at the guy like, "Oh man, this guy's a monster." So use it sparingly, not every week, just every couple months we see one of those, to where it is like, "Man, look at this guy, he's fucking this other guy up."
No,
And then as far as like squash matches, which I would call different, or jobber matches, excuse me, which I would call different. A squash match is like really quickly, 2 minutes or less, say 3 minutes or less. A jobber match is where one guy has no hope of winning, but we maybe string it out a little more, 7 minutes, somewhere around there, 8 minutes, where the guy gets some offense, but it obviously has no chance of winning. Those definitely have a place. Get some local people, some local talent on TV, get some different faces on TV, and show that the talent aren't impervious. Show that they have holes in their offense or in their defense. Show that they can be given a run for their money. Of course, the higher talent is still going to win, but you show that, as I said, that they can have their weaknesses too sometimes. So those matches are really valuable in that way. So I think they both have their place, but I think right now AEW is definitely overusing both of them on Collision. Because like I said, I don't know what the hell they're doing on that show. And people, I think, would agree with me. It just got its lowest rating of all time. And I think that has less to do with CM Punk and has more to do with the content that they've been putting on that show.
So let me ask you this, because this was the question that kind of came to mind when I was listening to your episode when you guys were talking about this. Is, do you feel, for the jobber aspect of it, do you think that maybe we're seeing that utilized a lot more in the men and women's division on maybe regular television? Like we saw at All In, the women's fatal 4-way for the AEW Women's Championship was less than 10 minutes, about 8, maybe even 9 minutes tops. And then something like that, would you almost consider that a jobber type of match than something of a regular match that we would want to see? Because we had 4 talented women in there. I mean, Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Shida, and of course Saraya, and in her hometown as well, on one of the biggest stages of them all for AEW. And we, even with Moxley facing Ray Phoenix a week prior to that because of his passport obliterating him, not really giving him any type of opportunity to come back and have a match in any essence of its own. Would you kind of think that maybe AEW, besides having those, as I'm calling them, the water boys or water girls on the back, not really doing much to begin with, going out there to get kind of embarrassed, but having these talented male and female athletes come out there and have the same outcome in certain matches, on a regular basis as well?
Yeah. As far as that, yeah, it was weird because John Moxley, they put on basically put on a jobber match with Ray Phoenix, which I thought was strange because Ray Phoenix, is arguably the best wrestler in the world, I think. Like I said, arguably. But they put on a jobber match with him.
It's a bold take, Chris says.
And they put on a jobber match with Commander, which,
Right.
I mean, Commander, you need to be building that guy as just the fucking best thing since sliced bread. I mean, the amazing things that he can do in the ring, he needs to be built as an attraction, not as some fucking 7-minute loser, So, like I said, with these squash matches, I don't know what they're doing lately, but
Mhm.
they gotta stop. Tony Khan has to be stopped.
Tony Khan, they need to be
Because
stopped. You heard it here first.
usually I think he's for someone who's not done it before. I think he's a great booker, honestly.
Yeah.
Usually, but lately, the last 2 months, I don't know what the fuck he's been doing. It's just been like throwing darts at a dartboard and seeing what comes up and booking things that way. And like I said, several more jobber and squash matches. And he put a damn squash match. He put a Ring of Honor squash match on the AEW pay-per-view with Taylor versus Samoa Joe.
Really? You would
That's
consider
Shane
that
Taylor.
you would consider that really?
Yeah.
I would consider that a
I
squash
didn't.
match. Yeah, he just punked
Oh,
out
wow.
Shane Taylor, man. And it's like,
Yeah,
why
I
was that on
didn't.
the pay-per-view? You know?
No, okay. That's
And
fair.
I can't
That's
be
fair.
the only person asking. I'm sure a lot of AEW fans who are more casual were like, who the fuck is Shane Taylor? You know? I
Do you
mean,
think he's spread too thin between
I
the 4
do.
shows he's booking?
He
Yeah,
has to be.
100%.
Yeah, I'm sure. Who wouldn't be? You know?
Yeah. Like,
Having to keep track of all that talent and all that, like all that hands-on production he does and booking it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
that's
sure he
something-
is. Yeah.
that's something Eric and I talked about, was like, do you think maybe a brand split would be beneficial for AEW, where you don't have to have a Moxley on both shows, where you have I
Yeah.
got to get him on this show. I got to get him on the show, and I don't care who I'm wasting because I got to get Moxley on the show, or I got to get Jericho on the show. Like, do you think a brand split would help that?
I think so. I think that's where they're headed anyway. You know, whether they like it or not, it's not. It
Mhm.
doesn't seem to be where they're headed as far as what they're programming. But I would be surprised if they're not split within the next year.
I would
Just-
hope so, because
yeah,
guys like Miro, like, how has he not been on television?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, because he's
Well, he's
great
been on television, but in squash matches.
in squash matches. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
been fed like a jobber a week, but he hasn't had a real wrestling match, you know,
until the
in
pay-per-view.
years until the
Yeah.
pay per view against Hobbs, and he looked great. Miro did, I thought.
Yeah.
He looked
No,
amazing. He looks
yeah,
like
he
the
looked
damn
good.
Incredible Hulk, man. He is amazing. Look good in the ring too, but I mean, just as far as his look, holy fuck, he looks like he could rip your arms off, you know,
That's Lou Ferrigno right there. That's
Yeah,
the
he
new Lou
looks-
Ferrigno right there.
man. But no, I think they'll be split. I think he'll realize that he has to do something along those lines. And now you got the Young Bucks coming on Collision, and I
Yeah.
think it's just gonna be a little of a mess, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about squash and jobber matches? And then do you think also that they're being utilized a lot more with our current roster that we see almost on a weekly basis?
So I pretty much agree with everything Asa said, because we've talked about this at length.
That's a first.
Yes. No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, I feel like they're being utilized too much. I think a squash match, maybe between the two shows, like one a month,
Wow.
would be reasonable. Jobber matches, I think one per show, and other than that, you're disappointing not only the people watching at home, but also the people who paid money to see good matches when they come to your show. Because I know that one episode of Collision that had a squash match and 2 jobber matches, like if I had paid money to see that show, I would be really upset, you know? Like, those tickets are not cheap, you know?
Mhm.
Didn't pay to see three throwaway matches.
Yeah, remember
you
that?
know?
Was that 2 weeks ago when it was like 3 jobber matches?
And as
Three
far
very
as
bad
Tony
issues out
Khan
there.
being spread too thin, I think he needs to hire someone to be the women's booker,
Yes.
to take that off of his plate and to someone to like focus on it and do a good job with it and actually put thought into what is happening. Because I think one, he's clearly only focusing on men's wrestling, and even that is spreading him too thin. So at least take off the thing that he clearly does not care about off of his plate and let him focus on what he does care about. And see if that improves things some.
I already have an idea of who that could be.
Oh,
because she did it with Ring of Honor. Maria Kanellis would be great
Yes,
in that
yeah.
role.
Okay.
She was doing a lot of good work then. I mean, that's at least where I would start.
Mhm.
And
You know who
then
else would be good?
yeah, go ahead.
Serena Deeb.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, she'd
Those
be
are two very
great.
good choices.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. But also
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson. I mean, Tony Khan has already basically said if I get hit by a bus, like
Yeah,
Bryan
that's the
Danielson
topic we
will
were
know
just
what
about
to
to
do.
talk about.
Why not install him as creative now that he's seriously looking at, do I end my in-ring career or do I see if I can go a little bit longer? This is the opportunity to keep that player coach vibe going. Have him take over Collision. I think Bischoff said it on 83 Weeks too. He'd be great
Mhm.
at it. I mean, it is
Yeah.
time, it is time for Tony to step back and kind of look at, am I spreading myself too thin?
Okay. And Chris, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think, these jobber matches, squash matches aren't going away. We've seen jobbers be very, very important to the business. A 1-2-3 kid, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, more recently a James Ellsworth got on television because of it. And
Yeah.
we laugh about it now, but he was on WWE TV for better part of a year.
Long time.
So,
Yeah.
they can work.
Reggie.
Yeah, there's another
Reggie.
one. If you're trying to establish somebody, I'm okay with it. I don't need 2 or 3 on a show.
That's a little much.
I like Veer, and how many squash matches did he have? And where it was to the
count
point
to
where it's
5?
like, I need you to wrestle somebody. So that's where it kind of gets, at the end of the rope. And squash matches, like, I'm okay with them. Again, if you're using it to establish somebody and it leads to a better story, don't just do it to do it because you need to fill airtime. If you're going to fill airtime, give somebody else a longer match. Then, then that's where it goes back to this brand split of, if you feel the need, you have to get everybody on the show every week, then split the brands, and then you have your opportunity to do that.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a fan of them either. I think, to both Asa and your guys' point as well, and Kay's, using them in the sense of building a character, introducing a monster type of heavyweight, or enhancing somebody's ability is definitely a perfect spot for a squash match. Jobber, there's 2 ways you could look at it. You're helping someone get over in the ring that maybe needs that push, or needs that match to get that push over to start having better matches and title opportunities and a nice run down the road. So, they definitely hold a place of significance. But when you overplay them on a weekly basis, or have multiple of them on a show, a paid show, a show that you're willing to go to out of your own pocket, that's when it becomes a little tiresome and repetitive and not needed. So I agree. I think there's a place for them, but not at all needing to be a concurrent thing each and every time. But to Chris's point, as he was saying prior, that Daniel Bryan in the news recently about, if Tony Khan was saying, if I were to ever get hit by a bus, God forbid, or anything were to happen where I could not work or do my job anymore, I would like Daniel Bryan to run AEW. And many, many fans are very, very happy with this. They believe that Daniel Bryan is the perfect person in AEW to sit back and start really improving the product and enhancing it and really guiding it to its next chapter and beyond. And to few of us, me being in one of them in particular, I don't think that is actually a good idea. But I'm going to let everyone else speak, and I'll end it.
No. You go first.
No.
We want to attack you.
Yeah.
You go first.
He's a wrestler. He's not a writer. So all right. Let me explain myself. So I don't believe that, as much of a talent he is in the ring and an eye and a brain for the business, I don't believe the stamina that he can endure in the ring as a professional is the same stamina he could give on a weekly basis to enhance a brand that's already doing a decent job now without him at that helm. I believe that there are better writers that are either fans of the product or know the product already coming from the indie scene that can push the product to that next level, and it doesn't need to have a wrestler be that person. We've kind of seen it with someone like Punk in that seat of both wrestler and writer and direction for Collision in many aspects. But when that comes time, and we also see it in some sense with Triple H, they like to put their friends, if not the people they believe are better to enhance the product, over more of a look for the newer development that we would like to see get an actual push to the top. So, for instance, someone like LA Knight, I don't believe Triple H saw a lot of what we saw in LA Knight from his leaving of the Max Dupree gimmick to the LA Knight gimmick. I don't believe that he believed in LA Knight to an aspect, and maybe that's why it took a longer road for him to be now having a match opportunity with someone of the likes of Miz and being finally put over by someone of the likes of Miz and getting that hand raised by someone of Cena at the end of Payback. And the same kind of goes with Bryan in the sense of AEW. I see him being definitely a great choice. I'm not saying he's not a great choice, but what I am saying is I don't think that same brain that works inside the ring would work on a 6 to 8 month storyboard with all the other elements that do come into play with wrestlers. So if a wrestler wants to take time off or gets injured in the middle of a storyboard and now they have to revise something, I think he might not be fully equipped to do something like that on the fly compared to somebody else that's been already in that position prior. So I think that maybe Danielson could definitely be a helper in the back with that writing staff, working one-on-one with that writing team to enhance a lot of stories, building divisions, building weight classes up, and even helping the women's division. But I would rather see somebody that's more trained in that aspect of the creative sense than a product of it becoming the manager of that product that he's already enhanced. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's what happened when Kevin Nash booked WCW.
Yeah. Like, I feel like there's been a lot of examples we've seen where wrestlers were given the book and, hey, go for it. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely been moments where those wrestlers booked good shows. Good matches have come out of that. There's been good moments that have come out of things like that. But in the longer run of them, I don't see something like that going well for Bryan Danielson. Especially, well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Especially if you're not going to hire a backup team or team of writers to fill those empty slots when things do arise, if you're not already equipped and prepared to do something like that your own. Tony Khan's a fan of the product. That's why he's made this company, and that's why he's now become very stretched thin between not only Ring of Honor, but with AEW, and we've seen it. We've just talked about it. And I think the same will come with Bryan Danielson in that aspect, that maybe in the beginning it might work really well and us fans are going to be eating very good. But at one point, whether it's a pay-per-view, a Friday night TV special, or whatever it may be, there's going to be that turning point where fans are not going to be as entertained with Bryan booking the show compared to maybe him and a team, or a team that understands this creative aspect different than someone that's just been in the ring longer. If that makes any sense, like I said. I don't know if I kind of confused anybody with that or whatnot, if I made a point, but I don't know. I don't think I think he's a good choice, but I don't think he would be. He's not my choice.
I was going to say
I
the
would
same
like-
thing. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Asa. No, go ahead, Asa.
I was going to say the exact same thing happened in WCW with Ric Flair, where they, they're looking around and saying, who should we give the book to? We're not doing so great. And they said, oh, who's the best wrestler? Who should know the most? Ric Flair. So we're kind of doing the same thing here. Who's the best wrestler? We have Bryan Danielson. Oh, he'll know, what to do. Who should know the most about the business? The best wrestler who's been around for a while. Ric Flair, Bryan Danielson. So same thing to me, but you kind of, if you're still in the business and you're still one of the boys, so to speak, you're still kind of mired down in things, and I think just from my knowledge of the bookers, it being the booker, it helps to be kind of the voice of God. It helps to be outside of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that the guys who are also wrestling and booking, it does not work out usually.
Yeah.
Because you always got your buddies, who you want to please, and they expect to be pleased, and then you got everybody else, and you don't want to disappoint anyone, and they're your coworkers at the same time, and you got to write your own matches as well, and it becomes a battle that
I don't want Matt Hill from Ed, Edd and Eddy writing my shows either. But at the same time, I would like somebody that has a knowledge of the business to come in and be that outside voice that isn't already established relationships with everybody in the back. Because
Vince Russo's looking for work.
I almost said that exact same thing.
that does kind of, it plays the hand. It plays this, okay, no problem hand. I mean, we there's been examples already prior to AEW, and I feel like even with Collision, with Punk being around. So I again, I know Chris is shaking his head so it almost comes off of him, but
that was the Vince Russo. Don't.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Please no.
Yeah,
and
then,
joking.
right. But that's the other thing. It's like
Joking.
I don't want someone either of his element to do that either. If we could find somebody that is maybe a Cornette or maybe somebody of a mixture of the crazy idea mind of Russo mixed with the logical essence of writing a true story and getting to the nitty gritty and building up characters and points and plots and endings like a Cornette mixed into one. It would be great, but I don't know what, they hate each other. So there's no baby coming out of them anytime soon. But, maybe there will be somebody of that stature coming in the near future. So I'm going to pass it to Chris because I know he already shunned me down. He said, no way in hell, buddy. So we'll pass it over to the birthday boy. And I want to hear his thoughts quick.
No, I can't. I will disagree with you, but I can't say that the points that you've made are bad.
Right.
You have your opinion and you made good points to back up that opinion. So I do appreciate that.
Anytime.
I think you can kind of what you
I know what I'm talking about.
yeah, no, you're fine. I think if what you said, that kind of applies to every booker ever in this company. They all have their favorites.
Of course.
In the history of pro wrestling, everybody's had their favorites. If Daniel Bryan is booking himself, then yes, that's a problem. If Daniel Bryan retires, Danielson, sorry, if he retires and that's the part of it, then I would be okay with that. If he's not booking himself, I'm cool if he's the one booking. But if he's still booking himself, then yeah. And I think a lot of the names we've mentioned that have been part of the booking, throughout history, a Dusty Rhodes, a Ric Flair, Kevin Nash, whoever you may think, Vince McMahon, whoever, Triple H. I don't know if Daniel Bryan has that ego. I don't know if his ego is as big as the names we've mentioned. So that's why I think he would be able to kind of take a step back and do this job a little bit better than those have come before him. Go ahead.
You know,
Eric.
maybe
Kevin
start him
Sullivan
with,
was pretty good, Booker.
Yeah.
maybe start him off with Rampage. It's an hour show. It's a 1 hour show, and see how he does with something like that. If he were to go, you know what, I'm done. Like to Chris's point, I'm done. I'm retiring. You know, I can't keep getting injured. He just literally he was bleeding at all out from the buckle from the weight belt on Sunday. You know, gushing. So if you know his wife Miss Bella wants to keep going to the ER and racking up medical bills, then hey, good on her. But I don't think, you know, between the arm fractures and broken wrists and ribs and skull concussions and everything else the man has put his body through, I think that maybe at one point or another, he'll finally realize, okay, this hurts. And so it does financially. And maybe it is time to step back and do what I know I can do, which is do that. And if it is something like that, maybe have him run a smaller show in the sense of a Rampage. It's an hour. Maybe start seeing him be that guy and making Rampage more of an exciting hour than what we've seen of it since its initial release. And then maybe there's a little more faith with him going to a show like Collision afterwards, or booking both and seeing if that's enough for him. Because in essence, it's really just an extra hour of matches. If you're really combining the two, it's almost like running a Raw between the 2 days, you know, in essence. So, you know, if that's something that he can swing on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, then okay, cool. Then maybe I'm wrong. And you know, I'd rather see him do better with this product, this brand that's become a very popular product for not only just indie wrestlers, but wrestlers from, you know, the other company as well, successfully. And, you know, and then we'll be having a different conversation 6-7 months from now, if that is the case. But, you know, if he is still wrestling and booking himself on top of all the other stuff, then yeah, I think it becomes a bigger issue. So I'll pass it over to Chris, and then we'll end with Asa and K for the topic.
No, I think I've said everything I need to say. Go ahead, Eric.
Eric, sorry, buddy.
You're good.
I think the only thing that I would add is Brian was working on creative with SmackDown before he left, and I'm pretty sure his last match was that triple threat where he was in the world title picture. Now, yes, that ultimately has to have a Vince McMahon stamp of approval, but he's worked in creative before, which means that he can do it again. I don't think there necessarily needs to be a division on whether it's Rampage or whether it is Collision or not. Tony Khan's going to run his company how he wants to run his company. And if he already believes, hey, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I want Brian to take over, why not give him some responsibility now? You know, again, as long as it doesn't look like he's, you know, booking himself to take every title that there is and go on an ultimate run of dominance or whatever, they're not hurting anybody. I mean, to have the Bryan Danielson learning tree for people to sit under as he's helping them to put together their stories and their matches, that's only going to help the product improve.
Yeah, no, that is a very good point. Exactly. Kay, what are your thoughts?
Well, Eric actually answered some of my questions that I had, because this just brought up a lot of questions, like why Bryan Danielson? Like, I get that he's a really good wrestler, but it's like I come from a theater background, and like the best actor isn't necessarily going to be a good director, because it's a totally different style of thinking and like vision needed. So I didn't know that Bryan Danielson was working as on creative with SmackDown. So I didn't know where his experience had come from, or if he was just guessing that because he was good in the ring, he was going to be good.
Sometimes that's the best. That's the best choices.
Yeah,
blind choosing in this.
So I feel like if you're going to make such a bold statement as like, this is who I want to run my company if I die, like, why aren't you giving them more responsibility now to like see if you're making the right choice before you leave your entire company in their hands potentially? You know, it seems odd. Tony Khan is an odd dude though, so I guess it kind of makes sense.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
He is.
Yeah.
He is a weirdo.
That's okay though. So am I.
Yeah, we all are, because we're wrestling fans. Asa, you're gonna end the topic for this one.
Yeah, I say, pardon me, I say give Brian more responsibility, and like you were saying, give him Rampage. Do 2 men's matches, 2 women's matches, make it a hot hour of wrestling.
Right.
I think that'd be great. And then if that goes well, give him Collision, because that's the show that he said he wants to work on. He said it fits better with his schedule, so it
Right.
looks like that's what he's wrestling on. So if he's going to be a booker, let him book Collision, and let him maybe try Rampage, and that's 3 hours of booking, and then Tony Khan can do 2 hours of booking and everything else in the damn company, you know.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I don't see why not, and just see how it goes. And like the junkies were saying, yeah, as long as he's not booking himself to win every title in the place, which he doesn't seem like that type of guy to me, doesn't come across that way.
No, not
Then
even physical at all.
then I don't see why not. Yeah, because it's worked before with wrestlers being bookers. Like I said, Ole Anderson did it in WCW. Kevin Sullivan did it in WCW. Those are probably the two best examples of it working. Flair was okay at it. Dusty Rhodes was good at it. Was really good at it. Maybe the best at it. That's of course debatable. But yeah,
Until the end.
WCW had a lot of guys do it.
Yeah.
Tommy Dreamer, Paul, the Dudleys at one point. Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and give him more responsibility. Yeah, let's see what he can do. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's not like a Jeff Jarrett TNA run, I'm good.
Yeah. Let's try to stay away from all of that that stuff. Otherwise, we're gonna have a lot more Texas Chainsaw Massacre matches and godforsaken weird promoted matches for video games that, it's not gonna be very fun at all. But that is it. That is going to do it for us here. I know we had one more topic, but I'm gonna kind of wait for that one for next week. We'll kind of see maybe in a week or two to talk about that one, because talking about it now maybe isn't the right time. We haven't really seen what Collision has in store since, of course, Punk is no longer with the company. So we'll hold that fun topic for another night. But let's end the fun podcast that we had. Hopefully everybody's still semi-awake. I know it's kind of a little late now and everything, but we had 3 pay-per-views. Yes, 3 pay-per-views. We all know it. We're still reeling from it. What was everybody's 3 favorite matches from all 3 pay-per-views? It can be all from one pay-per-view. It is okay to be that person and everything. But we'll start with the birthday boy from the 3 pay-per-views, All In, All Out, and Payback. What were your shining moments of all 3 pay-per-view?
Yeah, so I'll be brief. All In, MJF, and Adam Cole, the main event. I just I love the storytelling.
Yeah.
That's something that AEW I think is desperately needed. Is a little bit more storytelling. Like, they put on great wrestling matches all the time, but the storytelling of this world title feud is great right now. All Out was Mox and Orange Cassidy, because
Yeah, that was a good one.
for me it elevated Orange Cassidy so much, and it makes me believe that that guy is going to be a main eventer soon. And it sold me on what Orange Cassidy can do in that company. This whole title run with Orange Cassidy was fantastic. He's been the best champion AEW has ever had. And I think this just continues that build to his world title run. And then Payback, my favorite was the street fight, because it was just nuts. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun. This should have been the Terry Funk tribute match, because it was just nuts. And I thoroughly enjoyed that match on Payback.
Okay. Mr. Eric, Mr. Feifel, what are we thinking?
Yeah, I actually agree with the podcast that I'll have Adam Cole. and Mox and Orange Cassidy. I'd also like to point out for any Bengals fans that are watching, we did extend Joe Burrow 5 years, $275 million, 219 guaranteed, I believe. Just wanted to throw that out there. But as far as
Nobody
payback
cares.
goes, I'm gonna say
Wrong sport.
It's all right. I got it's what I do.
Yeah.
But as far as payback, I gotta say the steel cage match. Trish, 47 years
Wow,
old.
really?
Basically the only thing that she did not, accomplish in her career. I loved it from that aspect. I mean, she went all in on that match. I mean, the picture that she posted on socials like the next day of just how beat up she was. I mean, it was a great match. Chris, I know that I would have loved to have seen that at SummerSlam, but as Chris has so eloquently pointed out, it probably would not have gotten the same amount of time that they did here at Payback. So while it took a lot to get us to the finish line there, and at times it felt like a bit of a limp, they got there, and hats off to them both.
Okay. Kay and Asa, who wants to go first, and what were your three?
Well, I have a question just to clarify the rules. They don't have to be. It doesn't have to be one from each show, right? It can be.
No. You could be
Okay.
from all one
Okay.
show. It could be one from each show. It could be two from one show, one from another, whatever.
Okay, cool. I'm going with Omega and Takeshita.
Ooh, okay.
Osprey and Jericho.
Ooh, wow.
And then I'm gonna go with the Steel City Street Fight.
Okay. Alrighty.
I
Asa.
went with the exact same three.
Oh, did you
Which
really?
one-
okay.
One from each show.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, All In, Osprey versus Jericho.
Oh, because Omega and Takeshita was on All Out. I forgot about that.
Payback, the tag match.
You
and
went with
All
the same
Out,
three?
Takeshita over Omega. Yeah.
We did not plan that.
I think so. I think you guys did.
Man, that's a Omega and Takeshita match. That was awesome.
That was good.
Awesome, yeah.
I liked the Jericho and Osprey one a little bit more. Like Asa was saying on his pod, don't underestimate Jericho. He really still can. He can still do it. He really can.
Yeah.
I guess my three would be. I'm going for it. You know what it is. MJF, Adam Cole, baby. They brought the house down with that main event. It's almost hard to pick between that or the 0 hour match. I mean, they really. A kangaroo kick really shocked the world. It definitely stunned everybody in Wembley, I tell you that. But no, definitely MJF Adam Cole's match. Like Chris said, that storytelling is it just keeps getting better and better. More exciting than the Bloodline, I tell you that. My second one, I'd have to say, and Asa calls it a squash match, but I still enjoyed it. Samoa Joe and Shane Taylor. I definitely thought that was
Wow.
I was very excited to see Shane Taylor on AEW Wrestling on an AEW pay-per-view. I know it was a weirder, shorter-ish kind of pay-per-view, but again, I've seen Shane Taylor wrestle, and I really liked him on Ring of Honor. So seeing him against someone like Samoa Joe, it was nice to see. I definitely thought they were going to give him more time and a little bit more of a push forward, but Samoa Joe, baby. So you gotta get what you continue to take what you get. But to end it, Judgment Day becoming new undisputed tag team champions. I didn't have that at my 2023 bingo card, nor did I have Swerve and Hangman this past Wednesday either. But that's besides the point. That undisputed tag team Terry Funk tribute. I'm calling it Terry Funk tribute because that was a true hardcore match. Was amazing. I mean, a lot better than we all were predicting. It just kind of seemed like a left field throwaway pay-per-view match for the longest time. I think even on the predictions that we did here on the channel, we didn't really give it a high thing. Maybe one of us did, maybe a couple of us did, but I didn't. I just I don't really even care. It wasn't a match I was excited for at all. But Judgment Day literally are dripping in gold. They are dripping in gold and maybe
Silver.
Silver. All right. If you want to be technical about it, silver. But nonetheless,
He's been technical all week.
Yeah. But they're dripping, baby, with all the belts. Mommy, Damian, Finn, and of course, Dirty Dom himself. It's a sight to see. That picture really tells a story. I never saw Dominic winning a single competition title belt in my life, but hey, underestimate the underdogs and they'll be impressing you all the time. But that is it. That is going to do it for us here. I want to thank, of course, all of my guests, Mr. Fightful and the Poppy Dad himself, Chris, the birthday boy. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and coming back on. It's been a long time. We need to have you more frequently on, but I know you guys are very busy over there, making big news and big things over there. If there's anything you guys want to talk about or touch upon, go right ahead. The floor is yours.
No, pleasure to be here as always. Make sure to check us out at Junkies Pod on X, Wrestling Junkies Pod on Instagram. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube.
Cool. Chris, anything you want to add?
It's okay to like both companies. Let's just have fun with wrestling, guys.
There you go. I like that. And of course, I can't do it without the dynamic couple themselves, Mr. Starfield and Miss Fabulous herself, Kay and Asa from No Bones About Wrestling. But Asa, I know me, you, and Kay have a big thing coming up this Saturday. Very exciting. Let's why don't we have the floor for a little bit? I'll let you guys have the floor. Talk about the exciting watch along that you guys are going to be doing on your channel.
We do, yeah. We're having a watch along this Saturday. Junkies, you should come join us. We are watching WCW Halloween Havoc 94. So, it's the spooky season. It's September. It counts. It's
fall.
this Saturday on our YouTube channel, No Bones About Wrestling, 4:30 p.m. You come and
Love it.
We have the
come
same
at 4:30. And we're gonna wait around a couple minutes for everybody to show up, and then we'll have a countdown, and we'll all press play around like 4:40 p.m. We're gonna watch it along. We'll be in costumes. We're gonna host it. We'll probably make fun of it a little bit. It is mid-90s WCW, but it's gonna be a good time, and we're doing it so early in September because this is gonna be a series. We're gonna do these throughout September and October. Several Halloween Havocs that are handpicked by the No Bones About Wrestling team. But this one, the main event is Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan in a steel cage. Loser must retire. Mr. T is a special guest referee. If that's not a main event, I don't know what the fuck is. So come join us. No Bones About Wrestling YouTube channel, 4:30 on Saturday.
All right. That's awesome.
And Dylan will be there as well.
Yes, I will be there. I will be there.
That's the selling point right there.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, I mean, listen. You got Long Island's best. That's besides MJF, you got the second best of Long Island right there on No Bones About Wrestling. No, I'm very excited to be on there. Very excited to be dressing up in costume and stuff. We're gonna be having a grand old time. I think I might get myself maybe candy corn or something to get really into the spooky season, or candy of some sort. So we'll try to get something fun over here to do for the watch along. But that is it. That is going to do it for us here. I do just want to briefly say, and then I will let everybody go. I know I've been talking for now 2 hours, which is probably very tiresome to everybody. It's tired for myself as well. But we have two big charities that we're going to be doing for the next month or two, if not maybe even for the rest of the year. One is very near and dear to a very good group and near dear friends of mine from the Flex Zone. Unfortunately, they lost someone very sincere to them recently due to mental health, and because of that, they are no longer with us. Their family is asking if you can try to help out with some of the funeral costs, arrangements. Bills pile up very quickly, especially with a sudden passing. It definitely takes a toll on everybody in the house and everybody around them and stuff. And my thoughts and prayers are to them and the family. Unfortunately, mental health is not a gimmick. It is not a joke. It is not something to play around with. It is a very serious thing that we all should take very seriously. Men, women, children, anybody. It is something that I also talk about here. We did a mental health episode here on the pod. We're going to be doing another one this month as well, talking about it and spreading awareness again. And we're going to continue to do it until we hopefully maybe we can beat this crazy disease that is sweeping our nation from all ages, sizes, and shapes and whatnot. So definitely, if you guys can, please go down in the link below and to the GoFundMe for Jason and his family. But on top of that, Asa is doing something that I'm going to let him talk about with St. Baldrick's, the Children Cancer Foundation. So Asa, take it away.
So St. Baldrick's, they collect money to help children with cancer, and I said it before. I can't think of of a group, whose lot in life they deserve less. I mean, children who have cancer, that's depressing as fuck. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So they need all the help that we can give them, and a lot of these children, were born with cancers, and that's just awful. And so, if you can give $5, give $10, you don't have to make some huge donation. Give what you can. Just give a little money, please. Uh, I'm collecting donations, and if I get up to $300 collected by my little link, I'm shaving my head in September to be with the children who are receiving chemotherapy. So all my lovely locks will be gone, and then I'll be in unity with the kids going through chemotherapy. But yeah, please donate to St. Baldrick's. They've been around for a long time, done a lot of good work. None of the money goes to any of us. It all goes directly to the charity.
Yeah. Bless you. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
I know.
Will you DM me that and I'll tweet that out?
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely will. And to you too, Eric, as well. But I know Horton, from the Horton Show, who was on a bunch of times this week, also has done some work with St. Baldrick's as well, and knows about them, and has been affiliated with them as well. So shout out to him and to everybody who's been a part of that, like Asa himself and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, both things are horrific. Mental health, kids with cancer. I wouldn't even wish it on my worst enemy in the world. Not anybody in particular. That's horrific. Poor kids born with cancer and not even living longer to see their first birthday at times, or mental health that takes out families and destroys communities along the whole entire world. It's a very sad thing. But if anybody wants to help out in any way, shape, or form, repost a link, put it on your YouTube and TikTok and Twitter and MySpace and whatever social media platforms that there is nowadays. There's like 40 million of them now. So any bit of look helps. Any donation of any sort will help. Honestly, you are making a bigger difference by donating and by doing something like that than not. And they need it, and they appreciate it. Trust me, it definitely makes a big difference. I donate to the Ronald McDonald House, a charity that I've done in the past with my heart condition that I've had. Anytime McDonald's is doing a Ronald McDonald House donation, I always donate. They fed my mother and father when I was going through massive open heart surgeries as a kid, and all the other surgeries I've had in my life and stuff. So these charities that happen and that we all get to be a part of as content creators, or just in the community of content creation, it's a very cool thing, honestly. And to make that difference is even better, honestly. That's a really big win. So please, definitely take time to look into it, read all about it, and you're making a big difference. But enough of that. I don't want everybody to go home crying. All right. We had a great show, so I don't want everyone to go home crying after such a great show. But thank you again to everybody that hang out in the chat, as well as everybody here, all my great guests and stuff. I think Asa and I need to talk more about Starfield, so we'll probably be talking about that for 5 minutes, and then I'll let everybody go. But have a good night, guys. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Tomorrow night, of course, is Friday Night SmackDown Watch Along, and then Saturday is, of course, Asa's and Kay's Halloween Havoc Night 1 of 31 nights, maybe, if not longer, of Halloween Havoc.
No.
Oh, all right. Hey, listen, you never know.
That's a nightmare.
No. Come on. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun.
No, it's going to be fun.
And then after Asa and Kay's lovely Halloween Havoc watch along, you're going to come right over to the Last Week in Wrestling podcast, which I believe they are as well, to watch Collision. Yes, I can't believe it. We're still watching wrestling on a Saturday. It really is true. I'm pinching myself not believing it, but it's true. So definitely we got a fun, full weekend of content for everybody here, gamers as well. Sunday we're streaming some more Starfield, so definitely check that out. Whole bunch of gaming stuff has been uploaded on the Last Week in Wrestling pod, so go check that out. Run those numbers up as well. And of course, if you're new, hit that subscribe, turn that post notification on. Make sure you show everybody here some love as well. The junkies, No Bones, everybody in the chat, spread some love. We care about everybody here. We love you all. We'll see you tomorrow for Friday Night SmackDown. Have a good night, guys.